All right, so is Cathie Wood just out of her mind on crypto? Has she positioned ARK to make an end around during this bull run? We're going to dive into that today. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back here to TechPath. Today, when I looked at where Cathie and what she was saying during the B Word conference, if you have not had a chance to check that out, jump over to it, just YouTube it, you'll find it on there. It's basically Jack Dorsey, Elon, and Cathie Wood putting together their thoughts on where Bitcoin is going, how cryptocurrency is changing our society, and what kind of future are we painting out there. And it was great, and there was a lot of things in it that were, it was analyzed ad nauseum by, a ton of YouTubers. We're not going to do that here today, because what I want to get into is really the moves that people are making more so than what they're saying. So this is the thing that I often try to do here on the show is we just follow the dots, put a little research behind it, and then build a package, hopefully that's giving you guys some insights and data. Let's jump over to CoinMarketCap real quick, just to see. I know a lot of you are a little bit more at ease today with Bitcoin coming up to 32 positive. And of course, Ethereum looking like it's gonna break that 2K and hold today and towards the end of the week. We'll see how things are going. The big question here, I think, is, are we and did we see the bottom? That's going to be the scenario, because when you look at some of the strategies that many of the big investors are putting forth right now, it's all about the entry point. Where is that bottom? And this is where a lot of people are asking me, and I know the DMs, I get them. Thank you very much for those on Twitter. And also thank you for the mentions. And I understand what you're talking about in terms of, is this a bottom? Paul, do you expect there to be another soft point? The likelihood is we will see another push down. I don't know if it will be a sub 30K push down, but the point is that they're testing that right now. And when I say they, meaning the powers that be that are putting together strategies to make a big push toward the end of this bull run that is bound to happen. And I want to jump over here to this first story from the street. ARK bought another 867,000 shares of Coinbase and 450,000 shares of GBTC. So as you can see, this is all in July right here, jumping around. Cathie is out there on a buying spree this month. You're talking about at today's value, coin shares purchased in July would be worth about 197 million, while the GBTC is another 10 million. Still a little soft for the ARK fund, but the point is that she's making a constant move on how all of this strategy is coming together. And it's happening in play after play after play from Cathie Wood. And if you look at the ARK investment funds, the ETFs, the ARKK, which is full disclosure, I'm invested in that. I believe in what they're trying to do. Most of what they've been doing in the past has been really going after the strategic models around tech innovation, which I still think is a great. And there's a reason that I want to talk about that, because when I look at the companies she's looking at supporting, we're kind of looking at where those companies themselves are going in terms of crypto. So she's also kind of hedging her bets over on her innovation fund with companies that are actually moving into the crypto space and going that direction. If you think about it, we did a video recently on MicroStrategy and kind of why that stock alone, and where Grayscale and also BlackRock have kind of supported what Michael Saylor is doing, in a roundabout way. They're basically in Bitcoin very deep because of MicroStrategy's strategy. And that's kind of the same thing that's happening here with Cathie Wood in terms of the companies that she's moving into. Back to this, company has been buying crypto-related stock on nearly a daily basis over the course of the month. On July 8th, they added 255 of coin, that was the thing, and of course the investments there in GBTC. The other thing that is really interesting is kind of this whole thing. On June 28th, ARK bought 82,000 shares of coin, and then another million shares of GBTC. So this is not something that is passive. This is a very intent move by Cathie Wood and her strategy and a lot of the team. So here's my question is, does the ARK research team know something maybe that the rest of the investment community is not onto just yet? I want to jump over to another story on Cathie Wood investing. Cryptocurrency usage in $700 billion remittance market. This is something that came up in the B Word conference yesterday. And essentially, I want to zoom in on this just so you guys can kind of see. Essentially, what they're talking about is remittance when you're sending money back to your countries or you're transferring funds to friends and families, all those kind of things. Remember, this is a real global problem, mostly because of the banks that are involved with this and the fees with these services that are essentially transacting this. And the thing that they really called out here, ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood was pointing out a large number of funds in remittance market is losing because of high fees. She also noted there are countries in which GDP largely relies on remittance. Wood gave the example of Tonga and El Salvador, of course. The point behind this is that when you look at where they're thinking, and the thinking meaning on a global scale. So what you have to understand is if ARK and Cathie Wood are saying, all right, we're willing to put money into these companies that, one, are investing in Bitcoin or blockchain strategies and technology, and we're willing to go right into the heart of where cryptocurrency is moving, and we're also worried about what's happening on the global scale of moving money. This is where it starts to become a much bigger picture, and that's where Jack and Square and also Elon really start to flow into this, because this is working on two functions. One, if you think about what Jack Dorsey is trying to do with Twitter and also with Square, these two companies potentially could be on a collision path, maybe even for a merger at some point down the road. I'm just kind of curious of how this could tie together, especially around how Cathie is really into what Square and what Jack Dorsey is doing over there. And I want to jump over to that story right here on Cathie Wood's investing in the Square holdings after the Dorsey announcement of the wallet. And let me just kind of run through this. So ARK Investment Management increased its holdings of payments to firm Square. As founder, Jack Dorsey says, hey, listen, we're going to create a whole new open developer platform, and part of that is going to be a brand new wallet. It's going to be something that will really move in this direction. Obviously with Wood, she's came in and said, all right, we're going to up at another 250,000 shares on its daily holding files. Square's intentions to build out crypto products, including a hardware wallet, which is going to be absolutely huge when you look at where the market is going in terms of major adoption. And that's my point here, is that here's two things that have to happen to really kind of get this bull run moving and charged up again. One is we've got to get to the bottom. That seems to have occurred. It appears that we should be at the bottom, if not maybe a slight bump or a skim off the bottom one more time before we start to see moves really in the right direction. When you put all that together, we're at the bottom. Then you have Cathie Wood's scenario making moves in terms of understanding where these strategies can be played in, the global aspect of this. And then, of course, you have what's happening at Square and over at Twitter in the sense of being able to implement crypto and blockchain strategies within those companies. Square, I believe, is going to be a major player in this. And I think Cathie Wood is on top of this whole thing. And I just want to kind of jump to their holdings just to show ARK Investment. This is just literally as of today, 7/22. Tesla's still holding the number one position, Roku number two, Teladoc, and then there they are, Square up quite a bit. As you can see, 4,675,000 shares, 1.2 billion value at a 5% holding weight. This is pretty impressive when you look at ARK as a whole. And again, remember, this lineup is in the ARKK, which is the innovation ETF. This lineup mostly is pushed into companies that are moving in that direction. If you think, and you just look at some of the companies down there, even DraftKings down there at number 21, also going into the NFT movement, you've got so many companies within this group and within the strategy. And I think this is where Cathie Wood is starting to move in terms of her strategy, is shifting her innovation ETF to be able to really start to move toward blockchain supported technology companies and blockchain supported companies in terms of their general business strategies and what they're doing. So I think that is something that is really going to be a huge scenario here. And here's the thing, when you look at all of these kinds of moves that ARK is making, both on this and of course their own filing for their ETF, whether or not they get it first or some of their other competitors out there do get it first, I think that's coming, and it's only going to open up the unbelievable amount of investment opportunity from the strategic money that's out there that's sitting on the sidelines waiting for these ETFs to essentially engage. All of that is playing into this next bull run. And that's what a lot of people are really looking to. And this kind of goes down to a lot of the other things that are happening in the funding space, strategies that are happening around the overall sentiment that we're seeing in the marketplace. And then of course, obviously the scenario that we just saw, which was another bump past the 30K, below the 30K for Bitcoin and crypto in its pretty much its red days this week. And I think that's the scenario that we've got to get past. Market moves happening here with Cathie Wood. The strategies are already in place for many of these companies moving in this direction. And when that looks back to ARK, which I think is going to be a huge player in this. Also Grayscale. And then we have to look, of course, at BlackRock. Those are going to be the big ones. And then there's a whole plethora of sub investment houses that are moving in this direction very quickly, along with what I think will be more structured capital, and I'm talking about family offices, high net worth individuals. All of this is starting to flow behind where these titans, like a Cathie Wood, are moving in terms of their strategies, in terms of their investment planning. So I think that's the other thing that really kind of plays into this. I wanted to also just bring in one more thing, and this was an analyst topic by Willy Woo. And if you haven't followed Willy Woo on Twitter, I would go ahead and get to his Twitter account, because he's a great analyst. He really looks inside the charts itself. But he basically shared a chart highlighting Binance's inflows during the Bitcoin downtrend. This was during just this week where the downtrend started to occur. And according to the same inflows that were mainly from Asia, right here, let me highlight this so we can kind of read that. Something is going on with AB Crypto and their ability to highlight a page. But anyway, the same inflows that were mainly from Asia, especially during the time China was allegedly banning Bitcoin. This all happened this week. Meanwhile, the urgent selling in Asia was followed by, get this, urgent buying in the West, as per Willy Woo. So this is an indicator that starts to point back into the direction of some upward trends that could be right around the corner here with both Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the primary store of values that we see in those top 10 projects. And this includes some of the alt projects, especially if you look at projects like Polygon and Cardano after Polygon's massive return. Obviously, that I think was also with the trailing aspect of where Bitcoin and Ethereum have also started to move up from their $1,700 and their $28,000 lows. So things are moving in the market space right now. This is things that you have to be watching very closely. We put these market movers together from time to time. The idea here is to just give you guys some insights and some direction on moving into the next phase of your investment strategy that you're going to make on your own. This is not investment advice. This is something that hopefully just moves you in the right direction and gets you into the next stage of how you guys are looking at things. One thing to be aware of, though, as you're putting these things together, is there's a handful of companies and a handful of people and those companies that they lead that you have to follow very closely. And it's more than just looking at the news headlines, watching the B Word conference. You have to dive into this stuff and go deep, and then pair that with the charts. Whether you're coming here for our sentiment and our amplification analytics, which is unique and found nowhere else. We use a complete different set of tool sets when we analyze crypto, and a lot of this is based on how audiences and crowds move markets. And this happens, of course, we've already seen it, with the Wall Street bets and the Reddit crowd, and moving in the direction of GameStop and what we've seen with AMC and all those kind of things that happen in the traditional markets. But also, this is much more evident in the crypto markets. So those are the kind of things. And I look at TA in general, technical analysis. It's very difficult with crypto because of the fact that you don't have fundamentals in place. Really, all you have are reports on these projects giving you information of what is next and what kind of partnerships or actionable integrations or projects that they've put together are in play. That's all you really have. So you have to go with what we're seeing here, which is watching the market moves, watching the consumer sentiment, and seeing where those amplification moves are going. All right, that's kind of the topic for today. If you are checking us out over on the podcast, make sure and leave some stars. We'd love to get your feedback. Here on YouTube, just subscribe, hit the link below, and make sure and use the bell because it's going to give you notifications of content like this when we release it. And more importantly, if you guys have an idea for a show, I want you to reach out to us. Hit it in the comments below. We read them all. Or you can just hit, DM me up on Twitter, which is, I leave them open all the time. It's just @PaulBaron. Don't abuse them, but you can definitely use them. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.